Thank you, Natalie. That was a beautiful song. We are called to be, and it dovetails in with a story that I'm going to tell you this morning where I got called to be a neighbor, as we all are called to be a neighbor. But some time ago, when I was visiting with my next door neighbor, her daughter Sarah ran into the house with both knees and elbows bleeding. She had crashed hard when her bicycle hit a pothole in the street. After her mom bandaged her, she was about 9 years old, so she just ran back outside and joined in a ball game with her playmates. Sarah is very much tomboy, rough and tough, and she can hold her own with just about any boy or any sport or athletic event. And regardless, though, of her tough exterior, there is one thing that terrifies her: severe weather storms. Her mom had shared many stories of Sarah's fears of dark skies and loud bursts of thunder and bright lightning. She said Sarah would tear up, become nauseous, and sometimes even go hide in her closet. Well, that kind of surprised me because Sarah had presented herself as being a pretty tough little girl. We all have our little moments. So shortly after that, Sarah's parents wanted to go away for a weekend and asked if I would be interested in having her to stay over with me and my grandchildren. Of course, I was delighted to be asked to have her to stay over and was looking forward to this event. When it got closer to the time, we heard in the news that a strong storm was predicted for that weekend. And I thought, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? So her mom talked to her and warned her that possibly the storm could happen while she's away. And she would be thinking about Sarah, and that she assured Sarah that she would be okay over there with me. Well, even assuring that she would be comforted by me, not only with her family being gone away from home, I feared that it would take her fear to a whole nother level. It's like, okay, I must prepare for this. Her parents brought her over on Friday night. That night I took her and my grandson to a movie, and of course all went well. Saturday, the storm was due to arrive. I thought I need to plan for this. That morning, I told her about it, and I told her, Sarah, we need you to be here with us through this storm. It could be frightening to us as well. So, we can play games and we can eat pizza, and I assured her, if necessary, it's okay for her to hide in my coat closet. And if she needed to cry, it was okay. So not too much longer, the clouds were blowing in, the wind was coming in, and then suddenly there was this torrential downpour of rain. And I thought, okay, here we go. I'm ready. So this full-blown storm was flailing outside, and just about that time I came from the kitchen carrying a pizza. I thought it was rather quiet in the living room. Well, I really expected to find Sarah in the closet and my grandson sitting on the couch reading a book, eagerly awaiting the pizza. So as I walked into the living room, there was Sarah and my grandson sitting on the couch as though it was a beautiful sunny day. I was baffled, but yet very pleasantly surprised. So rather nonchalantly, I said, Sarah, I thought the storm was going to be frightening to you. You have a fear of storms. And she goes, yeah, it is scary. I'm afraid of it a little bit. But I know that you care about me, and because you told me I could hide in your closet, and you did make pizza to help us to feel better. But the most important part was you told me you needed me to be here with you through this storm. And she says, even if the wind blows the house down, we'll be together. I know you won't leave me and Eli alone, so I'll be okay. Can we have the pizza now? So the storm passed in an hour, and the remainder of her stay that weekend was all fun and games. So the next week, as I started with my daily meditation, I reflected on Sarah and how she suddenly trusted. And that I needed to realize that our higher power in our moments of fear is always there. So in moments of fear, I would affirm, I should affirm, God, I do not feel safe, and I am fearful right now. But I know that you are always with me. You will take care of me. You won't make me pizza maybe, but you'll take care of me. Because you have told me that you love me. And even if something, what I would call bad, does happen, like the house blow down, or even if I were to be damaged enough to not be able to live, you're still there with me. And you never leave us alone. Sarah taught me that lesson, this 9-year-old girl. So I began to really look at this word fear. And what does it really mean? I know how it feels in my body. I tremble, I shake. So I looked up the word fear in Webster's, and it gives over 30 definitions of fear. And it says fear can breed anxiety, insecurity, dread, loss of courage. It can constrict muscles. Prolonged fear can contribute to arthritis and many other major health problems. Fear is derived from imagination or from a past life experience. Now that is my interpretation. Webster's did not refer to a past life experience. But when the eyes see, and ears hear of certain bad things in life, we as humans immediately begin to imagine what the experience would be like for us individually. We imagine what might happen. We imagine pain. So where does the fear really come from? That was what I asked myself. So then I begin to look at what is the opposite of fear. For me, I found the word trust. And again, Webster's says trust means, and I was very surprised to read this in Webster's, to place confidence in God. It also said trust means depend, confidence, to place one's care or keeping, to do something without fear. Trust is rely, hope, and believe. Wow. There was the word God right in my face. And to do something without fear would be to trust. In Strong's exhaustive concordance of the Bible, there are 2 full pages of references of Scripture about fear. All of the references are assuring us that God is with us always as our sword and shield. God was with the leaders that he chose in the Old Testament. Jesus, in the New Testament, often told the disciples, "Fear not, for I am with you always." I remember the scripture of when they were out in the boat. Jesus and the disciples were out in the boat. You may be very familiar with this scripture. And the storm come up. And Jesus was asleep, and the disciples became very fearful. And they woke him up and basically said, "Hey, we need your help. You care about us. We're in this storm." And Jesus replied, "How many times must I tell you to trust?" How many times? I think as mothers, we often, how many times must I tell you not to run out in that street? So there we are, allowing Jesus' words to flow through us. I have this wonderful little book called Jesus Calling. It has daily readings in it as well. And there is one here that is so applicable to this. And it is based on 3 different scriptures, 2 from Psalms and 1 from Isaiah. And it is though Jesus is speaking to us. And it says, "I want you to learn a new habit." And that's in bold letters. Try saying, "I trust you, Jesus," in response to whatever happens to you. If there is time, think about who I am in all my power and glory. Ponder also the depth and breadth of my love for you. The simple practice will help you see me in every situation, acknowledging my sovereign control over the universe. When you view events from this perspective, through the light of my universal presence, fear loses its grip on you. Adverse circumstances become growth opportunities to when you affirm your trust in me no matter what. You receive blessings gratefully, realizing they flow directly from my hand of grace. Your continual assertion of trusting me will strengthen our relationship and keep you close to me. That little reading reminds me of one experience. I will always remember this. In 2007, I went with a group of people to Bosnia. And we went particularly to a city called Medjugorje, where the Blessed Mother has appeared many times. And she started appearing there in the late 80s to the little children. It's quite a story. But one day we took a day trip over to another little village called Shiriki. And we took a tour through a church that was there. And there's a story about that church because outside of the church, not far from it over here on the land, there is a huge hole that goes down into a very short, small cave there. And the story goes that back when the Nazis controlled Bosnia, at that time there were several priests. There were about 8 priests that had gathered at this church just for their priestly gathering of what they do. Well, the Nazis believed that they were collaborating for some type of upheaval of some sort. And of course, they were fearful of losing their power. So they go to the church and they make all the priests come outside and they stand them up in a line. And this is a very true story. And they demanded that these priests take off their religious garments, put away their religious beliefs, and do as they are told, or they would die. And none of the priests did that. They did not denounce their faith or take off their garments. And consequently, they were all shot. And the story goes that they then took the bodies and threw them down in this hole, and they really didn't care about them, obviously. Well, as I heard this story, I'm standing there going, how would I feel if that were me standing in that line? So as our tour guide went on to say, the priests actually chose life. And I sort of looked, and he said, if you live under the demand of someone else or something, then you're not free. You're not free to live your life the way you choose to live it. So in essence, the priest chose life. Because there is life. When our spirit leaves this body, it lives. It's only this body that fades away. So they actually chose life. And as that story affected me then, as you can see, it affects me now. That's powerful. Could I stand there and face knowing that I am going to be riddled with bullets and not be fearful? And Sarah helped me with that. Sarah helped me to see that yes, I can, because God always loves us. God always cares about us. God sent Jesus to show us there is life after this body dies. So what is there to fear? Nothing that maybe the brief pain for a moment, but that's a whole nother story. So I encourage you to remember Sarah and how simply she allowed herself to trust. A different scenario and a different voice touched her profoundly enough, different than from her mother, because parents, sometimes all day long we can tell our children something and it just goes right over their head, and someone else come along and they get it and all is well. So we get a little help. So a different voice touched her profoundly enough to give her the courage to trust. Could the voice of God through the spirit path that you choose to follow, which is right here in unity, be profound enough to move you out of the feeling and thought of fear when it tries to claim your mind and body? Move yourself to a place of trust. Trust is the unseen, higher power to take care of you. Thank you.